Ta-da! Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, IPs. Today is very special, Remember, I promised you to bring to you our very first story of my YouTube channel. And today, I'm very excited, I'm very privileged to host one of the very iconic peace champions, not just in Kisumu, but in Kenya. So guys, there's just a lot that has been planned out for this particular day, and when you watch this, kindly subscribe, kindly comment what are some of the questions that you'll have to ask this particular guest I have today. And today I'm hosting none other than Boniface Akach!
Viva Grace, viva!
Viva!
Viva peace, viva!
Viva!
Viva justice, viva!
Viva!
Viva I-peace, viva!
Viva! Guys, subscribe, and we can't wait to bring to you all the stories that Boniface Akach has. So we disconnected to the rest. Viva, Comrade Boni, viva!
Viva! That's a good trial.
Yeah.
So viva Grace, viva!
Viva!
Viva Grace, viva!
Viva! Thank you very much, Boni, for allowing us to come to you today. And guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, IPs. Yeah. So today we are bringing you a live story of Comrade Boni Akach. So we are super excited. I am very happy to just be recording his story today, but also just having a conversation about real things that really matter in Kisumu County, because again, he is based in Kisumu County at Nyamasaria. So we just want to get to know about Boniface. So, tuambie.
Thank you. Viva Comrade Grace, viva!
Viva!
Viva Comrades, viva!
Viva!
Thank you so much, Grace. It's such an honor to be hosted here today.
Right.
And it's my pleasure to speak about what I'm passionate mostly about.
Right.
So my name is Boniface Akach-Kisumu. I'm a peace ambassador. I also work as a human rights defender here in Kisumu. I started my peace building work in the year 2009.
Wow.
When I participated in the first protest to speak about non-violence.
Right.
You know, Kisumu has been a region that has always faced the cycle of violence for quite some time now. You know, this cycle of violence did just start recently. As I always give a small historical background, the cycle of violence in Kisumu started way back even before independence.
Right.
In 1957, the fight between KANU and KADU was violently fought in this region. Anytime there was political assassination that followed the post-independence Kenya, there were violent protests in Kisumu. When there was the death of Arvin Skodek, the death of Hioga Mapinto, the death of Tom Mboya, the death of J.M. Karaoke, all the way up to the death of Msando. Anytime there was any assassination in this country, people always came out to protest, and it ended up in violence.
Right.
Anytime there was a strong political conflict, be it around internal fights in KANU in the 1960s, be it around the fight for multipartyism, the fight for a new constitution, when people always want some change in IBC, this has always turned into violence whenever people come out to protest.
Right.
Whenever we've been having this cycle of election, every 5 years, there has always been protests thereafter whenever there's been conflict. So this really gives a tale, a very sad historical narrative that Kisumu has never enjoyed peace for more than 5 straight years. Sometimes even after every 2 years, people must always fight.
Right.
And this has been happening for more than half a century.
Yeah.
And about for 65 years now, it means that every time there's been violent scenario, there has always been deaths, destruction of property. There has always been gross human rights violations that normally occur during this period. So for me, I get my inspiration from breaking this cycle of violence that has always been deviling Kisumu.
Yeah, Boni, maybe just to also try to inquire, why Kisumu? Why do you think Kisumu? Is it special? And why is it that a lot of violence occurrences are happening mainly in Kisumu, especially when it is in the context of politics? Why Kisumu?
Yeah. You know, young people have always been branded negative.
Yeah.
And it is not only isolated to Kisumu. You find that somehow there's always a tag, a brand that is given to young people depending on which region they come from. If you go to Nairobi, you'll find that young people who come from informal settlement areas, young people who come from underprivileged communities are always branded, and the poverty is criminalized. If you go to Mombasa, young people are branded as terrorists, and they are always brutally handled. If you go to an area like Northeastern, you find that young people are branded as extremists. You go to Central Kenya, young people are branded as militia and belonging to gangs. So this branding is by design, by system, who just give this tag to young people so that they can get an excuse of, you know, stopping young people from achieving and playing their deserved role in building this country.
Yeah. So with your experience, I think you're one of the people that I've always looked up to, by the way. Yeah, your work.
You're doing amazing work.
Thank you very much. And I think that is why we are here. I mean, there's a lot of things that needs people like us, me and you, but also we need more young people to just be champions of peace and speak about things that are really needs to be addressed. And right now that we are heading towards elections in 2022, I would probably want to ask, what does peace mean to you as a person?
I think it is very important that young people be in the front lines of building peace.
Exactly.
You know, whenever we have this violence, it is young people who are targeted by the security apparatus who come to, you know, keep peace. And then after these violent scenarios, it is again young people who are blamed and given all manner of tags. Like they were the looters, they are the ones who are kicking neighbors, they are the ones who are rioting. And we find that this is a very unfair tag that is normally given to a generation just because they are in a particular age group. While in real sense, there's no data to even prove that it is really young people who are doing this. And also, it is always obvious that most of the perpetrators are normally people who are not even in the youth bracket. So it is very important for young people to come forward. It is also very important for young people to now start speaking loudly about police brutality. With all this branding that I spoke about, it is normally the police who target young people with that manner of branding. So it is very easy for a police officer, say, to come and shoot someone, and then just, depending on which reason they come from. If it is here in Kisumu, they just shoot you and say he was violent and he was trying to resist arrest. And the public would easily buy this. So young people must now come and be in the front line of ensuring that they promote peace. And they practice two very important cultures. One is the culture of active non-violence, and two is the culture of social justice. Okay?
Very important.
Yes. You see, conflicts will always be there. Even however small that election is, even if it is just for a small self-help group, there must always be conflict. So it is very important for young people to practice two very important cultures. One is the culture of active non-violence and the culture of social justice. And they should be in the forefront in promoting this. You see, conflict will always be there. However small an election is, even if it is just within a very small self-help group, when people do any kind of democratic election, there must always be some form of dissent. When there is dissent, what is important is how you air your grievances around this conflict. So young people must be in the forefront in embracing active non-violence as a culture whenever there is any form of conflict. Especially as we head to the elections. Two is the culture of social justice. We live in a country that is now in a state of disarray. This is the most unequal Kenya that we have ever seen. And every generation has always had its role to liberate the country from such.
Right.
So if young people cannot be in the forefront of ensuring that we create an equal Kenya, we create a Kenya where there is equal opportunities, equal wealth, and equal resources for all, then that will be a betrayal to the generation that is coming. And when we create this equality, we are promoting a culture of social justice.
Viva, Comrade Boni, viva! I mean, that was quite elaborate, and I think I love your perspective about young people being on the forefront, but also the two things you've mentioned, young people inculcating the culture of active non-violence, but also social justice. Very important two aspects to look into. Considering your work, I think these are things that you've really been championing for a very long time. And for Kenyans, I think you all know Boni to be that person who will call out, negativity, but also corruption. Anything that is sort of meant to, put down, lower down the guts of the people, especially Kenyan people, but especially in Kisumu, because that is where you're based in. I love your definition of peace, because again, it is quite holistic, but it's also putting the young people on the forefront. Now that we're heading towards the election, tell us a bit about what is your contributions towards ensuring that we attain peace. We have peaceful election, but also even after the election, there's life after that. So what is your contribution and what are your commitments towards that?
So after 2009, when I attended the first protest that was championing for active non-violence, this was held on the 2nd of October of 2009, and it is a day that is commemorated worldwide, and it's in the UN calendar. It has always been my self-purpose to ensure that every year we celebrate this day. And we did a couple of activities. In 2010 we held another. In 2011 we did another. And as we were going to the elections of 2012, together with a few friends of mine, we formed an organization that is called Sitarusha Mawe.
I remember.
For us, that was the non-violence slogan that young people adopted to champion for peace as we headed to the election. And in the region that I come from, stone throwing is a common fighting tool. So Mawe is just Swahili for stone throwing. And for us, we wanted to declare that we will not be using violence, because Mawe was symbolic to the various forms of violence people use, and we'd be expressing ourselves differently.
Especially in Kisumu,
Yes, especially here in Kisumu. So what we did is we mapped out the various hotspots of violence in Kisumu, and we would hold peace-building activities there. One thing that we always made sure we did is that we are also a community that is that has been very symbolic in terms of bravery and solidarity whenever it comes to airing grievances. So we would always use the common norm of protesting by holding a peaceful procession, just to simulate how a non-violent protest should be organized. The organization has been in operation, and we officially launched it on the 8th of December in 2012. The elections were held in 2013. And after the peace-building activities that we did across Kisumu, members of the public started appreciating our contributions. 2013 was relatively peaceful, but a lot of violence was practiced, especially in hotspots areas, a few pockets, and also online. That really went on for some time. After 2013, we saw the need of continuing with what we had already started and to try and build a non-violence. So Sitarusha Mawe Tena was formally registered initially as a self-help group, but it eventually evolved into a CBO. We continued with our peace-building campaigns. up to the period of 2017. And then what we did in 2017 is we ideally documented the human rights violations and supported members of the community in accessing justice. Something was very unique about 2017 election. Every time we came out to members of the public to speak about peace, they would ask us one very important word: what about justice? Yeah, you're telling us to be peaceful, that's all right.
Yeah.
You want us to be non-violent, that's very okay.
Yeah.
But what about justice?
Yeah.
So immediately after our campaigns, the peace building campaigns, we went into the elections, and the violence in the elections were horrible.
Yeah.
That's when we witnessed the death of Baby Pendo. We witnessed the death of Michael Okot, plus a lot of other young people, Mora in Nairobi, who,
6-year-old, yeah.
Yes, who just died out of, just being in a particular place and suffering the excessive force of police. We then immediately began conversations of how do we ensure that our communities get justice. In the cycle of violence that I narrated to you about earlier, every time there's been that violence, there has been gross human rights violations. There has been deaths, numbers uncounted, and these people have never got justice. So this has cumulatively led to some violent extremism in our region. So then how do we ensure that these people at least get some justice in one way? So that led to the establishment of Kondele Community Social Justice Center. As a campaign, we began an initiative to establish justice centers within communities. So every time members of the community spoke about injustices, we wanted to find out what can we do about it. The historical injustices have been too much, and they have been unresolved. There has been nothing done by the government. So this has also led to some form of violent extremism. So after the 2017 elections, we as an organization, we agreed and decided to establish community justice centers. Community justice centers are just safe spaces within different neighborhoods that any member of the community who would want support to access any form of justice channel can run to, and they're supported. So Kondele was the first community that we chose, given the harsh historical background that it has always had. And then right now, where we are is the Kisumu Peace and Justice Center that we recently launched. So this is the second justice center that will be based within Kisumu East community.
Beautiful. I also, maybe you forgot to mention, there are so many other social justice centers.
Yes.
But not just in Kisumu.
Yes.
In the entire country.
Yes, they are. They are in the entire countries. We have a lot of social justice movements, and each are establishing justice centers within their communities. And also members of the communities by themselves are also now starting to create spaces where anybody can come to seek support. I think we have almost 100 social justice centers dotted across the country, led by young people, young revolutionaries who've also now come forward to rewrite this narrative that young people are to blame for the distractions.
Yeah, and I think that is why personally I really believe that telling our stories is very important because not many people know efforts we put forward in ensuring that there is social justice and peace in our community. So Bonnie, with your, let's say, about 10 years experience in community work, and I think what the community should really appreciate about you is your commitment, but also your passion for, ensuring that there is social justice, but also peace in Kisumu County. Maybe I would just like to know, what does this mean to you? Why are you doing this? Why must you do this?
I think it is now about 14 years, to be precise, since we are now that have been actively engaged in the community work. It is very important for me that that right now it is ordinary wananchi, that it is the common people who are now taking back their country, albeit slowly. We've always looked to politicians, elected leaders, people in positions, popular faces to be the ones who are always championing for change or for addressing issues that affect us. But I love that fact that right now it is the common people, it is young people who are now stepping up to that role of taking back our country. Young people must realize that they are the bridge gap between our forefathers' generation and our future generation. That whatever we do now is what we will give our future generation, and we can't give them this broken country. So once we have realized that, then we just have to step up to that role. Over time, young people have always been playing their role in liberating any country. In the 50s, the young people then, led by Dedan Kimathi, Harry Duku, they stood up and ensured that this country got its independence. In the period preceding the 1990s, the young people took up their role in the struggle and ensured that this country was liberated from the one-party state, and we have multi-partyism. The young people then again ensured that we had a change of constitution. So these have been processes through which the country has been liberating itself, and young people have been playing a big role in this. The struggle that we have right now is to ensure that power is brought back to the people. And how do you give back power to the people? The Constitution already gave us. So the young people right now must take up their role in the struggle and ensure that there is the full implementation of the Constitution that we have without being mutilated. That is the role of the young people, and for me, that is where I get my satisfaction that young people are suddenly coming up, and even after we exit the stage, great people like you have already taken up that space, and we are sure that this will go on. And you are also doing an amazing job by inspiring other young women and having them play a role in the decision-making table. And that's how it should go.
Thank you so much for sharing the contact details for me. I'll surely leave them down at the comment section so that our audience could just probably reach out to you guys. Reach out to Boniface. He's doing a good job in Kisumu, but not just Kisumu, in Kenya as a whole. So for the people watching us from diaspora, get to know about the work we've done. Visit our social media platforms and share. I'll leave them down here below, so that you can just interact with his work. So guys, again, thank you so very much for watching. When you should tell them to subscribe.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
You're welcome.
I think this is a very great initiative, Grace, and I really hope that young people are also able to watch and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to iPeace. iPeace is the channel to watch. Leave a comment, share. I will also respond to some of the comments that will come after this, and even get to interact with you, our viewers. Make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe.
iPeace.
iPeace. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Bye.